Welcome to Podcast This Escape, the podcast where we talk about the escape room that we escaped from in the previous episode of this podcast. Katherine, Kat, the Quigs, thank you so much. That was so much fun. It was a really enjoyable room.
Well, you're welcome. It was fun to do.
Yeah, that was good. And that was really interesting because it really felt like, going around exploring. I happened to nail something super quickly and that, but we couldn't actually use it. I suppose the first thing we really got that was usable, functionable, was the shield being a reflector.
Yes, that was nice. I'm glad we smoothly got the shield and then found what we needed to reflect later on.
But then after that, we looked at everything and then went, all right, I'm pretty sure, I don't know how sure you were at this, but I was pretty sure this was going to be some sort of physical, practical action that we needed to take. And it's about getting our heads aligned to figure out what made sense, making sure that our visions for the room was perfect. And it turned out to be that, matching up what is the kind of dirt that is going on this painting, and therefore what will be the correct implement to work with it. That was a heads in sync thing that needed to get in there. And once that had happened, everything else went pretty smoothly, I think.
Yeah, it was a nice one. Yeah, we had that one moment of like not sure what to do, trying a few things to clean, not quite sure what was going to work. And generally, we kind of moved through really nicely. It made a lot of sense. It was very smooth. I love doing a little logic puzzle. I liked doing the
cryptic crossword clues.
The cryptic crossword clues was great fun.
That was probably my most nervous bit because I only had one person who was able to test that because most of my testers had never done cryptic crosswords before.
Absolutely. Like, that's not a thing that everyone is used to. And thank God we've been practicing them for the last week or two. Because we got back into them a couple of weeks ago. We're doing them for some of our bonus episodes, and we've just been so rusty. It's been embarrassing. So we've been like doing one every night now to try to get back into it. And it's been very helpful. So that's a relief.
And it's gotten much better. What took us like 50 minutes on an audio bonus episode is now taking us like 20 minutes with no problems. But yeah.
You guys did really good. You guys did really good on that.
Oh, that was... yeah, that was nice. I liked a lot about this. I really liked not just the eliminating letters, but we get to use it later. Like the way that was implemented, the missing J, was very clever.
Thank you.
Now that was an interesting one because I was not on that same page as you. Well, you saw the first name, you were like, let me start listing every letter that's not used. And there was a lot. And I was like, this is nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And then you found the second name, you're like, wait a minute, there's only a J missing. And I thought, that could be something, but I don't know if it's actually anything.
Right?
But I was not going there. Danny, you saw it straight. Was there any reason you went straight to it? Was it just the presence of a Q and a Z?
Literally, there was a Q and a Z and an X. And I just went, that is sus.
That's fair.
Can I tell you how hard it was to find tutor specific names that fit within that?
Yeah, Gosbert is a fascinating find. I want to use that one more often.
Can we bring Gosbert back as a name?
Oh,
I want more Gosberts.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And it was very fortunate because I know not all that long ago, I want to say guest room last year with the Vices, completely blanked on one of these ones. So I'm glad that it's not always a blank spot.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you did great for catching that one, Danny.
And it was actually a little bit harder. Originally, it was any handwritten note could contain, you had to look at any handwritten note.
Wow.
And then I changed it so that it was just the names.
That's so smooth. I like that. That's a nice smooth sort of thing.
That would have been a lot harder on you as well to make sure that...
Not that hard to avoid the letter J.
You'd think, and yet these things happen.
And I have actually right here on my computer a note that tells me to not say just and not say the letter J at all. I don't think I actually did it. You might have to cut some stuff out.
That's interesting.
In the edit, if I see any J's, I'll cut them out.
Wow.
Yeah, and that actually, I don't know if you noticed, there's one time when I said, I need to say that again. And that's because I said just. And so I went back and said it without the just.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had no idea why you were saying it again. I was like, that was the same sentence.
Sounded fine, but I guess you just want to be a perfectionist.
Oh, funny.
That
was funny. I'm sure that will have been cut. So if you're listening to the episode now, that was when we found the log and it was clean underneath. And you said, "Oh, I've got to do a second take," and then you were just like, "It's clean underneath the log," and it's like, "What just happened here? Oh, I've done it myself. Oh no, what happened here?"
So the reason, the whole like building behind this is so the letter J was added to the English alphabet in 1524. Before that, they used the letter I for both I and J. And so we have 1524, which was Thomas Stukely was born. They don't have an exact birth date for him, but 1524 is one of the years that he was possibly born.
Sure.
And so, and he is an actual person.
Nice.
Who actually claimed to be an heir, like a illegitimate heir to the throne. So, as a librarian, I did my research.
Sure. King Henry VIII, real king.
Well, and couple other things.
Sure.
I watched a virtual tour of Hampton Court Palace to construct my room from.
Nice.
And the stained glass window actually does have coats of arms on it.
Nice.
Unfortunately, it does not have the coat of arms blue with pears. However, blue with pears is the coat of arms for the Stukely family.
Oh my god.
Nice. I love it. That's so fun.
Yeah. So Thomas Stukely ended up in the Tower of London because he rebelled against Queen Elizabeth, and like she pardoned him because he claimed to be King Henry's son. And anyways, couple of other notes. Eavesdroppers, that's where the word eavesdropping comes from, is because King Henry put the eavesdroppers in the rafters of the hall so that people would always be reminded that he's listening and not to speak ill of him.
Sure.
Lovely.
And Sybil Penn was actually Edward's nurse from the time he was about 1 year old until he was 6. Her husband's name was David, but he was not a court musician.
You know, the one funny thing about this, I kind of wish that it was nurse as in medical nurse, because I don't know, I haven't bothered, I'm not big into family history stuff, but I know that somewhere in my family, there is a rumor that somewhere on my mum's side is a doctor of some sort to Henry VIII.
Oh, that's fun.
That's awesome. So, Sybil contracted smallpox and died after nursing Queen Elizabeth I through a bout of smallpox in 1562.
Ugh.
So that would have been after she was queen. After and then she apparently
didn't hang out with cows
there
enough.
are rumors of a ghost, the Grey Lady, is said to be Sybil.
Really?
Oh, you're a ghost, Danny.
I've heard of this ghost story. I must have heard of Sybil Penn before.
Oh, nice.
Oh, no. I wish I'd remembered that. That would have been cool.
If you had at the start been like, well, I better not turn into a ghost later, and everyone would have been like, whoa, you know the ghost law.
This is why I was coughing during the recording.
Yeah,
oh, no.
Because of the death. Fantastic. Look, it was a really good room. What made you decide? Like, obviously, you've done a lot of research once you like decided to do this room.
Is this just an era, a type of topic that you love anyway?
Yeah. What made you think I'm going to do a Henry VIII room?
So I actually decided I did a physical room for my sister's youth group last October, I think it was October, and I did something. I had the same type of theme in mind of like a kidnapped child, but I did it as Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy's child.
Sure.
And then as I was thinking about it, I was like, I could I feel like changing it to be King Henry would be better because he's gonna kill. He would. Sure. He has that history. Yeah. So it kind of gives more of a motive to, get out faster.
Sure.
And it just kind of went from there.
Nice. Well, it was really fun. Did you, when you made it, do you have a part of this room that you enjoyed the most, or that you're most proud of in terms of making it? What's your favorite bit of the room?
I have to say, I think my favorite bit would be just all of the little Easter eggs throughout that you can find out at the end. about, Thomas Stukely and the coat of arms, and just how I was able to fit all of that in the year 1524,
Yeah.
which was the thing on the lock.
Yeah,
That's
nice. It
pretty
is fun. I like those little things.
How hard was it to write the note in ye old English without any with the numbers hidden in it? That must
I am sorry to whoever studies ye old English, because that is not ye old English. But it was a little difficult. I had
I'm
to
not
figure
surprised.
and then also not getting other random numbers in there without
Right?
meaning to. And I had to make sure that I had at least I made sure I had at least one word in between each number. So even though they went across several words, but then I had one word in between each one to separate
A
them
nice
out.
buffer word.
And then we had the two paragraphs. The first paragraph was his first name, and the second paragraph was his last name.
Yeah, which is very nice.
The most interesting part, I think, about this, it probably helps a little bit to be using wild old language, because it definitely threw us a little bit where some of the gaps were, where we suspected something might have been hidden, because all the words are weird to us. Whereas when you try to do this with modern text, often the words with the numbers hidden in them are very obvious, and it's hard to make them subtle.
Yeah.
But in this, the overtness of everything made everything subtle.
No.
That was what the goal was.
And then putting together a logic puzzle. Is
Those
that
are
something you've
always
done?
really hard as well.
Have you done many of those before? Are you used to making those?
No, actually, I have to thank my brother for helping with this one, because when I originally tested it with him, it was a lot harder, and I don't think I had enough clues. It was I had six, I think it was 6 different possibilities of options, and the 5 tables. So I had what type of silverware, what type of goblet,
Oh, okay.
what type
Wow.
of
Yeah,
food,
a lot.
I had
Right.
all of the things. And he's like, you just need to and then also he suggested making the clues more figure out the clues, not just tell, so the
Sure.
whole rainbow thing. And
I see.
put a little bit of thought process. That was nice. I also really liked one of the things in this that is quite not done often with these, is that you also had a limitation of the physical geography of it. So you could say this one is furthest away from this one, or this is between, that sort of
That's
using
true, that
the
doesn't always
positions
happen.
physically is a fun little added piece of information that doesn't often come up in these, because it's usually 6 kids milling around at a birthday party, and it's one of them got a cake, so I liked that. I felt that was a nice way to add a bit of clue. And it's sort of the same thing of ones that come together to make a color. You have to figure out a little bit what that means. And the positional one, you had to figure out a little bit well, wait, I know the positions. So I know that if it's got to be England versus these two, and I like that. It was a nice element of it.
But logic puzzles, griddable logic puzzles, are always one of those things where you think going into it, how bad could it be? And the first time you try one, it's a disaster. It's just inevitable.
Honestly, I found an existing logic puzzle that had the dimensions that I needed, and kind of used that to make my own
clever.
clues.
It's a good
That's
idea.
a good
That's
way
a
of
good way
doing
to
it.
make 'em.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I want to go through. We had a choice at the end.
Oh, of course.
Call the guards, go punch Stukely, or Stukely, or what was the third option?
Ask his tutor.
Charles
teacher.
Van.
Oh yeah. So we chose call the guards. What are the other 2 options? What happens?
Okay, so if you decide to try and apprehend him yourself, you get to the stables and hide right outside. Right after you crouch behind a bale of hay, Thomas walks in with a large bundle in his arms. He sets the bundle down outside the stall and calls for a groom to saddle his horse. He is much more intimidating than you thought. No way could the 2 of you best him, even with the element of surprise on your side. He leaves for a moment to find a groom and to saddle his horse, and you sneak out to grab the bundle. You are about to unwrap the bundle when he comes back. Understanding dawns on his face, and the last thing you see is his meaty fist coming at your face before you black out. Next thing you know, you wake up in the dark. Your arms and legs are bound, and you have some sort of suffocating fabric around your head. You are being dropped from some height. With a splash, you land into water
Oh, no!
and quickly sink. He must have dropped you in the river with weights around your ankles. No amount of struggling will help you here. Water closes in around you and everything goes black.
Solid.
Okay, I'm glad we didn't pick that one because that's what I thought might happen.
Yeah, I very much figured that he could kill us.
He's a knight. And what if we got his knight dad?
You try to get Charles a message, but he's on the hunt with the king. His stable boys are hanging around in the stables, but they refuse to help you. As you leave the stables, you notice a child-sized bundle off to the side of the door. It looks like Thomas was going to dump the bundle into the river, as there is a large rock tied to it. After unwrapping it, you find, to your horror and somewhat relief, that Edward was indeed in the bundle. You should probably wrap something back in the bundle so that Thomas doesn't realize it isn't Edward until he's well away from the palace. What do you want to put in the bundle instead?
Where's our log?
No, that's where I put myself into the bundle, and then you transition and you read the end of the other choice, where I get dropped in the river and die. And we can sort of mix them all together. Cool. So, okay, so that was another possible. That was the only bad option was going and trying to fight the guy.
I don't know. It feels like we might have to sacrifice a stable boy in this option.
No, we just put a bag of flour. We just put a roast peacock.
I did have some people choose that one, and they chose to put the suit of armor in there.
I thought that might be a little
child
bit
armor.
obvious. I thought he might notice.
Yeah, well, you know what? Who cares? Thomas Stookley doesn't.
Great.
He's a little loser.
So besides the paring down of the logic puzzle, has anything much changed since through play tests to the version that we got?
So the butler was originally a maid, and then it became a butler, and then I changed it to a steward, and then back to a butler after I did a little more research.
Fair enough.
Fair. What was the research that made your butlers?
Well, I assume
relevant?
it's just who is going to have
just
what
like
duties.
Butlers do a lot.
Yeah. Because originally it was a maid, because that's what I had in the one where it was like the Jane Austen one, and then I changed it to a butler, and then I was like, wait, butler is more like Downton Abbey era, and then I was like steward, but then steward usually you think about somebody who's taking care of the land, and then but then it's like, oh wait, maybe not, and so then I went back to butler.
Turned out butler was all good.
All right.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it was lovely. It was a fun room to get through.
Had a great time.
I had a lot of fun playing it. I had a lot of fun showing off my lack of historical knowledge, but occasional historical tidbit, but mostly just incorrectness.
Funny because I'm not a historical fiction person. I'm not crazy into history in general. A historical escape room, I'm all in. That works for me. I don't know why. I'm gonna have to figure out something about why I'm into that.
To practice history, we'll have to write hundreds of escape rooms.
Yeah. I have no idea why that would be true.
Yeah, I don't know. They're more likely to present you fun little facts.
If anyone else can psychoanalyze me for this, please do.
So really what you're saying is you need to get all your information from like Age of Empires. You need games to teach you history.
That tends to be how it works.
Wonderful. Just like everybody our age, you can learn all of your history from Age of Empires too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, that was great fun. Thank you so much for coming on and running it for us. Is there anything else we want to talk about with this room before we
anything that we've missed?
Wrap up? I think we've covered a lot.
I think you guys were going to ask me about some of my escape rooms that I.
Yeah, we talked a little bit in the main episode about all the ones that you've made, for
various library events and other things.
You said you've even run some over, like you've done Zoom ones where you were doing it and all that. Before this one, have you written any in this sort of a style, or is this new now that you found the show?
No, this is the first one. This is the first one.
How did it feel different to
was it
creating the others, or was it pretty much the same?
It was. So I have to say, I listened to your thing that you did like years ago about how to make an escape room, and that helped me with this one a lot. But and that's actually helped me with some of the ones that I've done, like organize my thoughts for ones that I've done in person as well. But this one is, it's the first one I've done like this, and it's a little different. The nice thing about the ones that I do where it's like on Zoom is I can just say it doesn't work the same way you can in this format.
Yeah.
I don't actually have to have it locked in such a way that they can't open it. I mean, just to say like, yeah, whatever.
They can say,
Um,
force it, and you say, I
yeah,
tried.
yeah. And kind of a fun thing that I was able to do with one of them, the one that I did a year ago for the camp that I volunteer with, is I had a bunch of books on a shelf, and I had it such a way that there was like a curse on the books. So if I touched the wrong book, then I lost the use of one limb
Oh no.
for a certain amount of time.
Oh, they would have found that so good.
So they really had to like make sure they were getting me to the right books before they made me touch them.
Were they actually careful, or did they enjoy seeing you struggle for a bit?
Well, they were pretty careful, but they accidentally got me to the wrong book a couple times.
That's how they get you.
Ah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then, like, do you have a similar sort of theming on a lot of yours? Like, I know even this started not as this history thing, but at least as like historical fiction stuff. Do you tend to stick to those sorts of themes, or do they all? Are you doing like this one's in space, this one's based on a wizard, this one's all about cave people? Like, where do you
Cave people
fit?
is historical fiction, really.
Yeah, I was using it as one example.
Mm.
So I tend to have I tend to take a theme and kind of use it for several escape rooms, but like do like different puzzles in
Okay.
those escape rooms, like completely change it. So like I'll use the same theme for like a 5 to 9 escape room, which I guess I should probably explain that it's an escape room for ages 5 to 9,
Sure.
and I've been doing them at the library, and they usually last about 10 minutes.
Nice.
And because the attention span of
Yeah.
a 5 to 9 year old is a lot shorter. But so the 5 to 9 escape rooms I'll do like with one theme, and then I might do like an older kid escape room, like the teen escape rooms, with the same theme, just different puzzles and such. And but a lot of the themes are different. Like I've done dinosaurs, I've done a pirate one, I did an Indiana Jones type themed one. I did like a witch like a princess in a tower that was like a wizard's tower type thing.
Sure.
And I did the kind of some more historical fiction ones. So I kind of get out there. It depends what I think the kids are going to like.
That's fair.
Oh, have you noticed anything about what do you notice is I don't know. Do you notice anything particularly interesting or unusual about how the different ages approach things?
Yes. So so the 5 to 9 is especially because like the difference between a 5 to 9-year-old is so much different between like a 12 and even like between a 12 and an 18-year-old.
Sure.
So usually with the ones for the 5 to 9-year-olds, I have to have just a lot of searching that the 5-year-olds can do and that they can find pretty quick, plus some harder puzzles for the 9-year-olds, and then like kind of some stuff in between. The very first one I did like that was a little rough because I didn't have enough locks for everybody to unlock a lock.
Oh, okay.
And when you have 10 5 to 9-year-olds, they all want to unlock a lock.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
I figured
since fixed that.
I figured there'd have to be like more physical stuff, like more doing than sitting and thinking, because 5-year-olds aren't that big on sitting and looking at something for a while and thinking about it.
Yeah, and I'm with those ones, I am very specific about like if I have a puzzle, then I will have like a little picture of the lock that it goes with on the bottom of the
interesting.
puzzle.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is it.
Because otherwise they'll be like,
what is this? What does it go to? I was doing the puzzle.
Yeah.
That's true. We've seen similar things in real escape rooms out in the world. Just be like, these two things have the same color and image.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
whatever.
wanted to say, I can see why younger children would have difficulty putting those sorts of things together on their own. But no, that's just people.
Lovely. Look, clearly you have a lot of fun making these, and you've made a lot, and they're all like. This was one very fun escape room in what seems like a long line of fun escape rooms for a lot of people. So it's Good. I'm glad that you found our show to listen to, and I'm glad that apparently you were already basically doing it even before you started listening, which is great.
Well,
It's a thing.
I have loved it. So I started listening to your show in end of May, early June of last year, and I made it through all of the episodes by like the second week in January of this year.
Wow, yeah, that's a good bit.
That's a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean now you're at that terrible stage. Now you have to wait for episodes to come out. The worst thing in the world. All right.
Everything seems worse when you're not binging it. You have more time to sit back and judge the episodes harder. I find that with every podcast. Like, turns out when people first discover a podcast, it is the greatest thing ever because you're binging it. Same with TV shows. But then suddenly, as soon as you've caught up to it, oh man, why is it getting worse now? It's not. It's your viewing behavior.
Yeah, true.
I haven't hit that point yet with this one.
Good. It'll never feel worse. It'll get better and better. Thank you so much for coming on and playing and running the room for us. It was so much fun to play.
It really was. I had a great time. I felt very accomplished with that J thing. I felt great.
It was brilliant. I'm assuming...
And that got to be beginning to end. Like, that lasted the whole room.
Yeah, it was
which is
great.
very unusual.
So yeah, thank you so much for running the room. Katherine, is there anything else if you wanted to send people somewhere or if they wanted to check anything out, is there anywhere you'd like people to look for things?
Yeah, just go to your library. Libraries are cool and they have a lot of fun stuff that you probably don't know that they have. So go check it out.
Yeah, everybody check out your local library.
I looked a while ago just to see what sort of things were at local libraries, and one of them had kids robotics courses.
That's cool.
Like just free robotics learning basics.
Yeah, hang out in libraries, everybody. They're full of stuff.
In my library, I have a coding thing where we use coding robots.
Yeah,
nice.
Right? It's so good that sort of thing exists. They really do have a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Fantastic. And Danny, thank you for playing a game with me.
Thank you.
And for people at home, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. It's always thank you so much for giving us an hour and whatever of your time to listen to the show. If you want to help support the show, the easiest, best thing you can do is let people know. Tell people about the show.
Go to your local library.
Go to your local library and say, hey, I'm going to here's an MP3 player with episodes of Escape This Podcast.
MP3 player?
Can you play them over the speakers in this library? Because libraries are well known for playing loud sounds over their speakers. They hate it when it's quiet in a library. They never like it. Get them to play go to the local library and set up a little booth that says, listen to Escape This Podcast with me, and then just share earbuds with someone who sits in the booth next to you. But spread the word. It's legit, it's how people listen to new podcasts. It's personal recommendation is more important than anything else. So go and tell some people. You can also support the show by signing up as a Patreon donor. Anybody who signs up at any level can appear as an NPC. I usually say only in one of Danny's rooms, but there was an NPC in this room. So thank you so much to Patreon donor Chris Friesen for donating to the show. You're an evil butler. I've decided you're evil. Didn't do anything evil in the room, but I've decided you had.
No, he was much more helpful and amenable to what we were doing than I expected.
He was cleaning those plates. He was rubbing poison onto them.
Ah, well, that's just because he hates the Portuguese.
Yeah, Chris, the evil racist butler. So thank you so much for your donation. But there's also anyone who signs up at a $5 level gets bonus audio episodes every single week. There's behind the scenes stuff of us doing play tests for rooms. There's bonus episodes and puzzles. We solved a bunch of 2-minute mysteries until we ran out of them. And so there'll hopefully be something new taking place of that series. But there's bonus episodes every week for Patreon donors. Just fun, extra stuff. There's
bits and pieces.
A whole bunch of fun stuff there. And it is how we support the show. It's how we make a living. It's how we keep the show running. It's how we keep the show free for everybody who wants to listen to it for free is through Patreon support. So if you want to help out, it's always appreciated. And it's support the arts. Go to your local library and also support the arts by giving us money. So there you are.
The money that you save by going to your local library.
Save money on books at the library and then give us your book money.
And then sponsor your local or not so local artists.
Exactly. Send us your book money. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Danny, for playing the room with me. And thank you again for running it.
Thank you, Katherine.
Thank you, Katherine.
You're welcome.